Hello and welcome to Orlando International Airport. Today we are going to be flying from here to Atlanta with Delta on one of their Boeing 767-300 aircraft. We'll start our journey today on the People Mover from the Intermodal Terminal and Terminal C, having just had a look at Brightline's construction progress on the Orlando expansion. If you want to learn more about Brightline's extension, click the link in the top right or in the description below to check out the full video featuring Brightline Orlando and Brightline Plus alongside an excellent ride from West Palm Beach to Miami. The main terminal is only a few minutes away from the Intermodal Terminal, and our train soon pulls into the station. The Terminal C People Mover station is a little out of the way, built as an addition to the main terminal complex in 2017. A rather interesting relic of the past is also set aside in this outcropping. The retired airport beacon is on display here, having served its duty from 1985 to 2008, an incredible 23 years of service. Continuing past the walled-off security checkpoint brings us into the magnificent East Hall. The East Hall houses plenty of shops and services, as expected at an airport, but a rather interesting addition is the hotel that lines the walls of the space. The Hyatt Regency Hotel is built directly on top of the main terminal, and in an effort to increase the number of hotel rooms with a view, Hyatt decided to include windows and balconies on rooms that face inward, which is pretty unconventional but also very cool. Before we head through security, let's take a quick look at the departure boards. From what I can see here, our flight, Delta 1607, is set for an on-time departure out of Gate 71. Security at Orlando can be painful at peak times, and the lines that extend well beyond the checkpoint indicate this is probably one of those times. TSA PreCheck will again be our savior, with a negligible line that takes just under 5 minutes to get through. To get out to our gate, we'll need to take another People Mover out to Terminal 4. The train left as soon as I arrived, but the wait shouldn't be too long before another one shows up. Taking another glance at the departure board again showed that everything was running on time for our flight to Atlanta. This is the second of 3 times that I would see this was true, however it would be the 4th check of the boards that would soon reveal the contrary to be true. Both trains arrived back at the main terminal and I hopped on. The doors closed and we were soon on our way. Terminal 4 consists of a main concourse with shops and restaurants and 3 corridors that branch off housing the gates. The concourse is incredibly spacious, and the vaulted glass ceiling helps to enhance this feeling. The selection of food is pretty good, but a fair amount of the smaller kiosks are still closed, likely a side effect of the pandemic and the holidays. Orlando is not one of Delta's many hubs and focus cities across the US, with flights restricted to gates 70 to 99. The gate branches are significantly smaller than the main concourse, but the wide walkways are a welcome addition. Arriving at our gate, all signs point to an on-time departure, but this would be the last time I would find this to be the case. That being said, I didn't know this at the time, and seeing as our gate was unoccupied, I decided to wander the terminal to see what else I could find. Terminal 4's gates 70 to 99 see the majority of Orlando's international traffic, and as a result, there are plenty of interesting aircraft to check out. Sitting at the end of the gates 80 to 89 concourse is this Emirates Boeing 777-300, which will soon take to the skies on its way to Dubai. Just a few doors down is Virgin Atlantic's Mademoiselle Rouge, an Airbus A330-300 in the process of boarding for her flight out to Manchester. Gate 80 is occupied by one of British Airways 777-200s, which is also in the process of boarding with the final destination of London Heathrow. I really wish I could hop on that flight and head across the pond, but it was too risky at the time of filming to make that call. That being said, some incredible flights are coming in the very near future, including a non-stop flight from Austin to Amsterdam, and from Amsterdam to somewhere about 8 hours south of there. I don't want to give away the final destination just yet, but put your guesses in the comments down below. As 5:20 rolled around, it was starting to get close to our aircraft's arrival time in Orlando, so I headed back to our gate. What I thought would be a standard on-time departure soon turned sour as a 30-minute delay was tacked on to our scheduled departure time. Looking at Flight Radar 24, our 767 was still a good 35 minutes out, and with a good 25 to 30 minutes of turnaround at a minimum, I knew it wouldn't be another hour or so before boarding began, so I grabbed some food and settled down for a bit. The winter sun took an early bedtime, dipping below the horizon as 6 rolled around. Right around then, the British Airways 777 we saw earlier began its taxi out for departure for its 8-hour and 15-minute flight to London. After just under 45 minutes of delay, our 767 November 171 Delta November made its final approach into Orlando and soon taxied around to Gate 71. November 171 Delta November is one of Delta's 42 767-300 extended range aircraft, delivered to Delta back in June of 1990, an incredible 32 years ago. Of course, the aircraft has seen plenty of upgrades in the time since then, but age is age, and Delta plans to remove the -300 model by 2025. Despite the delays, the ground crew does an excellent job of getting our aircraft turned around for the next leg, and boarding soon begins. After scanning our boarding pass, we can head down the jetway and onto our 767-300. We're seated today in seat 17A, a window seat in Delta's Comfort Plus cabin. Before we get there, however, we'll walk through the Delta One cabin. Delta One features plenty of space and lie-flat seats, although I'm not too sure that they'll get much use on this quick 1 hour and 35-minute flight to Atlanta. Passing through the bulkhead brings us to Delta's Comfort Plus cabin and our seat for today. Row 17 towards the outside of the aircraft is a bulkhead row, which means we get an absolute ton of space. I cannot describe how much space I have here. I'm 6'3" and I can stick my legs out straight and not even touch the wall in front, which is unreal. As this is a bulkhead row, the tray tables are stowed away in the middle and aisle armrests. The tray table itself is pretty pitiful. There's barely enough space to hold snacks and a drink, let alone a full meal if flying on a longer route, but it does include 2 cup holders, one in the folded and unfolded positions, which is nice. Putting it away with one hand, I found, is rather difficult. Taking a look under the seat, Delta includes an outlet and 2 USB ports for charging. One of each would have been nice, with one for each passenger, but it's certainly better than nothing. Above each row are standard lights and air vents. However, the lights can only be controlled through the entertainment screens, which are a solid 3 feet away. This is actually the first of 3 major issues I have with this seat. The screens, which are usually great, are the same size as a normal row, and as such, it's rather ridiculous to watch a movie on, and when strapped into your seat, it's incredibly difficult to actually reach the screen. The second issue with this row is the window placement. There is no window in the gap where there would be a row of seats, and the one that this row does have is directly next to my shoulder, making it very difficult to look out of. That being said, it does provide a rather good view of the wing and engine. The third issue we'll get into later, as I didn't notice it until we actually left the ground. Pushback begins about 20 minutes after getting seated, and we're soon beginning our taxi out to runway 25 left for departure. While we're taxiing out, let's take a quick look at some stats about our aircraft and our route for today. Taking us to Atlanta today is November 171 Delta November, one of Delta's Boeing 767-300 aircraft delivered back in June of 1990. Each 767-300ER is powered by two Pratt & Whitney PW4000 engines, producing a maximum of 61,500 pounds of thrust for a combined thrust of 123,000 pounds. The -300ER model has a total length of 180 feet 3 inches and a wingspan of 156 feet 1 inch. Each 300ER has a maximum range of 5,980 nautical miles and a cruising speed of 560 miles per hour or Mach 0.85 at an altitude of 39,000 feet. Our route for today will take us northwest across Florida and through central Georgia for a westbound arrival onto Atlanta's runway 27 left. While we're finishing off our taxi, why don't you hit that subscribe button? It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. And be sure to hit that bell icon while you're down there so you never miss another video. Before we know it, we're making the final turn onto the runway and begin our takeoff roll for this quick 1 hour and 35 minute flight out to Atlanta. We climb quickly out of Orlando and soon break through the low-hanging cloud cover. Looking back down, the clouds are illuminated with the light of downtown Orlando below. One added bonus on this flight is the lack of another passenger in the row, leaving me with an extra seat for storage and personal space. And not wanting to waste any of this comfort, I hit the recline button and sunk into the seat beneath me. I mentioned earlier that there was a third issue I had with this seat, and that problem finally reared its ugly head as we leveled out at our cruising altitude of 31,000 feet. I hadn't noticed it over the roar of the engines earlier, but as everything evened out, I began to notice just how incredibly loud the ventilation unit above my seat was. It was loud enough to entirely drown out the pilot's cabin announcements and made it incredibly difficult to listen to music or just get some rest. As much as I appreciate the extra legroom, I would much rather a quieter seat with a little less legroom. Fortunately, a distraction soon came along in the form of the in-flight snack. Offered on our flight today was a choice of cookies and pretzels paired with a bottle of water. It's pretty standard stuff, but the actual bottle of water was an interesting change. While we're cruising over Florida, let's take a look at the bathrooms on board. The bathrooms in Comfort Plus are located in the center of the aircraft. That being said, it doesn't afford much more space than a traditional lavatory. The facilities are very standard, but at least it's pretty clean. The sink works well enough and the soap is full along with well-stocked paper products. Overall, it's an okay bathroom, but the age of the aircraft is certainly showing through. Something else weird that I noticed was that the cabin crew left the lights on in the Comfort Plus cabin, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why. But it really doesn't matter to me as we soon begin our descent into the Atlanta area. The lights of Peachtree City soon come into view, and before we know it, we're making our final turns for arrival onto runway 27 left. A quick taxi around the airport brings us to gate A21, and we can deplane into Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. We've got a couple hours here before our connecting flight back to Austin, so we'll head down to the plane train to go wander the airport. And with that, it's time to bring today's video to a close. If you've made it this far, I'll give you a quick hint at one of the videos to expect in the very near future. Next week, we'll be back in San Francisco to fly with Alaska Airlines to Los Angeles in premium class. If you want to be around when more videos get posted, please hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel and the content I make. I would love to keep doing this for as long as possible, and your support helps me continue to do so. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for flying with me, and I'll see you in the next one.